Johnson takes the oath of office today. He will immediately inherit many challenges.
ABC 7 political analyst Laura Washington is back with us. Laura, good to see you again.
You too.
Of course, we know that crime is the big one here. Has he put forth a plan yet? Do we know what to expect?
Well, he wants us to take a twofold approach. He wants to bring more police officers, focus more on the hot spots, but he also wants to have a holistic approach where he brings in mental health services, trauma services, anti-violence programs to make sure that young people have some outlets.
By the way, is this more of the same?
This is what he's been talking about all along. The problem is he hasn't put any specifics out. There's no meat on those bones yet. So I think right after this inauguration, he's going to really have to lay out a plan. We've got Memorial Day coming up, just around the corner, and this summer is almost here.
Yeah.
What are his other challenges?
Well, the migrant crisis is a really big one right now. I mean, there's just too much going on. There's not enough resources, not enough funds, and it's possible that he may need to call out the National Guard.
If we're looking at, and I know it's too early to ask or even know this, but strengths and weaknesses at this point.
Well, strengths, of course, are that he's a real good communicator. He has a lot of support, particularly in the progressive community, a lot of goodwill there. So he can work with people and collaborate with people. That's what he wants to do. That's what he says.
Yeah.
His weakness is that he doesn't have any management experience, none whatsoever, any major management experience. So he's going to make sure he taps into the best people he can get to run City Hall for him.
Yeah.
Okay, and speaking of his team, what are your thoughts about what he's done so far in putting his team together?
It's been a blend of really experienced City Hall pros who've been around for decades and some progressive activists that he's worked with in the past, which I think is fine. You want to have some folks that really know the lay of the land and the nuts and bolts, but you also want people who are going to support his agenda.
Right. And one other question. Obviously, he was a teacher, and then he was endorsed by the teachers union. Is that going to help him?
Depends on your perspective on it. Some people think the teachers union might create a problem for him because it would create a perception of a conflict of interest. Can he distance himself enough from the union so that he can do negotiations fairly and equitably for the entire city?
How do you think Johnson will get along with City Council? How's that looking?
Well, he's got to be an improvement over the mayor. The current mayor, Lightfoot, had a lot of problems. I think he's willing to reach out, negotiate, collaborate. That's what he says.
Yeah.
If he's willing to do that and he's willing to listen to council members, he can get a lot done.
There's been a lot of talk about him being from Austin and being from the West Side. Does that matter?
I think it matters a lot. I don't think we've ever had a mayor, at least in modern history, who came from the West Side, which is a community that's often been overlooked. He's very proud of that. He's going to focus on that this morning in his neighborhood tour. So I think you're going to see him wanting to lift up the West Side and all it has to offer.
Friday, we saw Mayor Lori Lightfoot pretty much exit, leave City Hall. We saw the clapping. We saw her roll off in the convertible. What do you think her legacy will be, if any?
I think her legacy that we know of right now is her ability to reach out and provide equity, racial equity throughout the city. She's the first mayor in a long time to do that. I think the jury's out on the rest of it. I think we'll be hearing more about her legacy down the road. It takes some time. You got to let it steep a little bit. I know she's very proud of her record. The one thing that I think she would also emphasize is leaving the city in very good financial shape.
Yeah.
Now, will she be at today's inauguration?
Yes, she will. The mayor's usually, the
outgoing
mayor usually comes.
Yeah. Is that awkward at all?
It can be.
Now I'm getting my tea, Laura. I remember 7 a.m.
I remember under Jane Byrne and Harold Washington.
Tell us a good story.
All you had to do was look at her face, and you could tell she'd rather be 100 million miles away.
Ooh. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
I always watch The Room.
But I think, early on, as soon as Brandon Johnson won, he met with Mayor Lightfoot.
Behind closed doors.
I think it's been cordial. She hasn't left any bodies buried that we know of so far as she leaves City Hall. So hopefully, she's an asset. She's somebody that he should want to rely on and call on to help him celebrate and uplift the city.
All right. They had some words, though, during the campaign.
Well, that's every campaign.
That's how it goes. I agree.
Which is interesting, though,
right.
to your point, because they fight, even when they're campaigning for the position for their party.
Yeah.
People in their own party fight, and then next thing you know, they're chumming it up.
Come together.
They accuse each other of the worst possible things imaginable, but then afterwards, they're embracing each other. Right.
Isn't that?
It's politics.
Politics.
Exactly. Yeah, we'll see how it goes. Laura Washington, appreciate it. Thank you.
Watch breaking news on YouTube. Subscribe to ABC 7 Chicago Eyewitness News.